Hello everyone, welcome to the TCS webinar on accelerating business value with cloud, the unifying digital fabric of enterprises. Thank you so much for joining the session. I am Aditya Nagarajan, a global head for strategy and operations at the TCS AWS business unit. I'll be the host for this webinar today. You could call me Addy for short. We have with us a very esteemed panel of leaders joining me. Presenting Yusuf Ahmed. He is a Program Development Director at LMRA, the Labour Market Regulatory Authority for the Kingdom of Bahrain, and Jeremy Drury, the Director for Digital and Technology Services at Star Alliance. Our partnership with LMRA has been enriching, and today Yusuf will discuss the transformation of their mission-critical application that was hosted on a mainframe system and was in use for more than 10 years. And with a vision to modernize and create a future-ready enterprise and deliver superior customer experience, LMRA decided to switch the entire hosting of the application from the mainframe systems to AWS. Whereas at Star Alliance, cloud as a digital fabric, they were looking at becoming the most advanced digital airline alliance. And the intent there was different. They wanted to deliver a seamless travel experience for 700 million customers across 26 member airlines. That is about 23% of the global air traffic, which is in the skies. Let me introduce you to how TCS has envisioned the power of cloud in transforming the enterprises to tap into the value it brings and for them to become enterprises of the future. The way we looked at it, given our experience of harnessing the power of cloud and working with enterprises in envisioning these various cloud journeys, we had about 3 simple steps which came to our mind to creating value as from cloud as a unifying digital fabric, right, of an enterprise. Number 1 is, as we all agree, cloud is now become the digital core of an enterprise, touching every decision, be it IT-enabled decisions or IT-powered decisions or business-centric decisions, to be able to use technology for achieving newer ability and capabilities. So as the digital core being in the center, what is important is that it allows the enterprises to tap into newer abilities of scalability, right, and configurable efficiencies, which we have never seen before. So exiting data centers and moving to the cloud, modernizing infrastructure, right, enabling applications to be able to scale at ease, have all been now possible through cloud using the touch of a button and through configurable capabilities. That becomes a starting point, right, where enterprises have started to feel the power of cloud and immediately realize tangible value, right, and enable better experiences for their internal stakeholders and customers. The next wave of value is where cloud leads to amplifying the innovation capability, right, beyond the scalability and the modernization of the technology itself within the enterprise. And what we see as innovation is about how the cloud native capabilities, right, coupled with other digital technologies such as edge, blockchain, enables businesses, right, to be able to envision new business models, capture new customer segments, and even reimagine products and services on the fly, right, to be able to appeal to the market and customer needs. And many of such digital capabilities have come to our need, especially in 2020 during the pandemic, where enterprises were able to fundamentally configure the entire supply chain or their logistical operations to help us during the pandemic to enable cloud to seamlessly deliver experiences on the fly. The third layer is about how it enables systemic capabilities, right? And we are able to truly scale business value exponentially at an ecosystem level. Today we see various news and news giving us examples about how an organization not only helped gain efficiencies, remodeled its business processes, but has been in the forefront of actually transforming the ecosystem in which it's present. Healthcare, for example, has embarked on transforming its entire ecosystem of its partners around organizations, around healthcare organizations, using the power of cloud to connect value amongst them. So if you look at it, starting from efficiencies in terms of unlocking operational efficiencies, the ability to look at technology modernization, through to the ability to innovate across product stacks, right? To be able to launch new products and services using cloud native capabilities, and through to going all the way towards transforming an ecosystem around the enterprise, has been made possible through these kind of cloud capabilities and value. Our 11 years of partnership with AWS has given TCS a strong foundation to build our joint innovation for the industry offerings that will accelerate enterprise absorption of new age technologies. Today, we welcome all of you to hear about two such cloud innovation journeys. We thank Yusuf and Jeremy for taking the time for this webinar and speaking with us today to share their experiences and insights about their journey to the cloud. But before we begin, let's take a quick look at this virtual event platform. At the bottom of your screen, you will see a set of widget icons. These control the various windows, which are resizable and movable. So feel free to move them around to get the most out of your viewing experience from this event platform. You can also expand your slide area and maximize it to full screen by clicking on the arrows in the top right corner. And we'll be answering some of your questions later on the chat. So feel free to use the Q&A box on screen and fire away your queries so we can come back to them later and cover them after the presentations. Now I'll hand it over to Yusuf to present his experience of how LMRA undertook their journey to the cloud and how they have been able to maximize the value of AWS capabilities in this transformation of their legacy applications to AWS. Over to you, Yusuf.
Thank you, Adi. My name is Yusuf. I am Program Development Director at LMRA. Today, inshallah, I'll take you through the journey of LMRA toward migrating our core system to AWS Cloud. I will share with you also a few points about the challenges we have faced and about the achievement we could get and receive at the end of the project, and the stages we have gone through with our partner at TCS to achieve this accomplishment. LMRA was established in 2006 as a part of Bahrain National Reform Initiative and Kingdom of Bahrain Vision 2030. LMRA is a government body with a corporate identity, endowed with a full financial and administrative independence under the authority of a board of directors, headed by or chaired by the Minister of Labor. LMRA is mandated to organize the labor market to ensure fair and justice law. LMRA also touches the life of half of the population in the Kingdom of Bahrain, as the expatriate is 55 plus percentage of the Bahrain population. All of this is happening through offering transparent, resilience, and dynamic services, or let me say web services. LMRA is enabled to provide all these services through our core system, which is Expatriate Management System. EMS is a mission critical system available 24/7. Previously was hosted on a mainframe for the past maybe 13 or 14 years. We can say this system movement to the cloud is maybe the largest government application has been moved to the cloud in the past couple of years. EMS is executing around 1.6 million main transactions a year, annually. An example of all those services that we can provide to the expatriate is issuing work permits, issuing residency permit. This is again an arrangement with our partners in the government. We help expatriate book their health checks, appointments. We allow them to pay their health insurance fees. We allow them to pay insurance fees. We provide them at the airport with SIM cards that will allow the government communicate with them using that number. Expatriates are able to query their application statuses using short SMS. So we provide a variety of services through our application, which is reachable online. LMRA is driven by business goals. We have to ensure business concept like we are upgrading and modernizing our application to provide reliable services to the customer that will enable them execute and perform their expatriate related services through online services. Then we are also focusing on business resilience. We have to ensure, or we are always ensuring, a high available application that is accessible 24/7. It is usable all the time without any lagging, without any slowness, with protecting or ensuring the data integrity as well. At the same time, we have to ensure cost efficiency and business efficiency. We are always striving to lower our total cost of ownership by adapting the latest and the newest technologies, and by continuously monitoring our systems to reduce the cost and the operational cost. Workforce productivity is one of the major objectives of LMRA also. We always try to empower our staff, empower IT technical experts with the tools that will enable them perform their job in a better way, perform their job with less effort, provide them with smart, processes, smart tools and systems that will help them achieve more and lesser time. In the past few years, LMRA has faced a few challenges that would slow down their progress. Those challenges actually are around the high total cost of ownership and the low throughput of the mainframe. In addition to that, we are like vendor luck, who couldn't change and refresh technology frequently. That led to a lack of agility. In the past 2 years, the government of Bahrain has opened the door for all government bodies to move toward the cloud, and by creating or launching cloud first policy. And LMRA adopted that opportunity and immediately thought of taking that opportunity and build on that opportunity, and since then we have started engagement with TCS to enable LMRA to move and to achieve that objective. We designed the project in three major phases. Phase 1 was catering for executing an assessment exercise that will help assessing the requirement and the requirement for the project, the requirement of the migration, the design, and the total cost of ownership. And after approving the output of this phase by the board of directors and the top management, we have started phase 2, which was about re-platforming our application and moving the current software stack from the mainframe to AWS. And we'll talk more about it in the following slides. And the last phase, which we have recently started, is about modernizing the application, adopting the new technologies and AWS native services in order to enhance the system availability and usability to the customers. So starting from phase 1 till the end of phase 2, we agreed with TCS to adapt a phase-wise approach in order to ensure a smooth migration and successful migration. The assessment phase started with analysis and to assess the mainframe environment, to plan and design the security architecture, and perform an exercise to measure the capacity of the new environment that could run the system in AWS. And that was executed by having a BOC to ensure the right sizing of the environment. Followed by that, we have started the build phase, in which we have design or deploy a reliable, scalable, secure, and with the right capacity to handle the load. We could also work with our partner in the government to deploy the right security controls. That's with the arrangement with TCS, of course. And after that, we have started the migration phase. We agreed with TCS that the migration phase should be as short as possible because we have big data and complicated system. So we have to ensure the integrity of the data, and we have to ensure the smooth flow of the data from the on-prem environment to the cloud. And we arranged for a 12-hour downtime, and successfully, alhamdulillah, we could achieve the migration and complete the migration in the right time. Definitely there were some hiccups, but we have a professional team, or let me say teams. We could overcome all these hiccups, and successfully we have deployed the system on time, and that was really an impressive achievement with the minimum, let me say, minimum burdens or mistakes, and the system is running smoothly and with good performance. Some of the benefits that made everyone at LMRA and the government of Bahrain happy about this achievement was we could actually improve our TCO and reduce the TCO by high percentage. We could also improve the responsiveness of the system. The pages which were taking 2 to 3 seconds, they are currently taking milliseconds. Deployment time was reduced by 75%. We could now take and accept extra workload in the system because the system is scalable, and we have the right size and the agility to increase the resources. Our customers are satisfied because of the speed of the system and because of the system availability that was ensured after the migration, and they have less waiting hours at the airport, at the banks, and the different LMRA counters. Another major achievement that LMRA could receive after this migration was the improvement in the response time and the improvement in the LMRA back-end jobs and schedules. We could notice, or we could measure minimum 7 times better performance for the old pages in EMS. We could improve the agility and infrastructure provisioning and deployment hours by 95%. The task that could take hours before, now they can take a few minutes. Provisioning the needed infrastructure requirement is much faster. We are targeting a 50% cost reduction in our TCO. That is now somehow achieved, and will achieve more by time, and by the beginning of phase 3 also, or by the end of phase 3, we'll achieve more than this, hopefully, as per an assessment that we could conduct with TCS at the beginning. It's also good to mention that EMS database is one of the biggest or the largest databases, that expat databases in the region, maybe, or for sure it is in the GCC. So migrating this workload and this size of application, heterogeneous application to the cloud was not an easy task, but was achieved by a well-experienced, dedicated, responsible team. What is next? Next is, as I mentioned, is phase 3 execution, which will help adopting more of AWS native services and more of open source technologies that would help us achieve better total cost of ownership, and hopefully we'll be able to sustain the good business or customer experience and delight stakeholders. This is the end of my presentation, and over to you, Adi, again. Thank you.
Thank you, Yusuf. It was really a very insightful experience which LMRA had undertaken to move the entire applications to the cloud. The modernization journey which you spoke about has been really insightful, and not only enabling about how the applications which were legacy in nature moved to the cloud, but the holistic view of how LMRA saw the modernization of the operating model and the processes and systems which helped you become the enterprise of the future. Thank you once again, Yusuf. We now hand it over to Jeremy to share his experience of how Star Alliance drove a similar and insightful journey of modernizing their entire technology estate to the cloud. Over to you, Jeremy.
So thank you very much, Adi. It's great to be able to talk and share the experiences with the audience today. I'm very, very happy to be here, and I'm hoping that your audience is able to gather some insight over the course of the webinar. So let's get stuck in. Let's have a quick chat about who I am. I'm the Director of Digital and Technology Services at Star. I've been with Star for almost 18 and a half years, and have played an interesting role in the development of the technology and in the development of the products. I find myself right now as heading up both the operations, infrastructure, and application development for the Alliance and the Alliance members, and working very closely with TCS, and very happy to be able to do that. Today, we're going to have a chat about how technology underpins the success of the Alliance and allows us to continue delivering innovative solutions to my customers, the airlines, and ultimately their customers who are traveling around the world. We've seen an amazing situation this year, or in 2020. And I'm very happy that even through the difficult times in the industries, we've been able to move forward with the support of TCS, and I'm very proud to be able to have that relationship. Let me quickly introduce the audience to the Star Alliance. The Star Alliance is made up of 26 member airlines around the world. We were created in 1997 when 5 airlines had the foresight to come together to work more closely and produce product which would support travelers who needed to reach places around the world which would not be normally reachable from their local with their local or home airline carrier. Today we serve as a community 200 countries, almost 1,200 airports. We have a network of 1,000 lounges provided by Star Alliance and by the Star Alliance members. And that all comes under one roof, which is the Star Alliance and the Star Alliance brand, which supports that. In 2019, we carried more than 700 million passengers around the globe, and we are looking to do that again sometime in the future. Although we do know, as everyone knows, it's been a particularly difficult year in 2020, and will continue for the medium term in 2021. As we try to get travel and transportation back on the map. Just to dig into that a little bit, of course, 2020 was difficult, and it is a testament to the alliance and the people who work here that we were able to still look and continue providing services to those people who do want to travel. We had an interesting start in 2020, and of course, with the pandemic hitting quite quickly, we went into immediate cost reductions and cost management to make sure that we could sustain the company and the services that we had. April brought us into a phase of adjusting, looking at how we could share information about the pandemic, thinking about how it's going to change the new world. How we can adjust our strategies to support the members. And indeed, a number of projects and products came out of that discussion, which we are now in the process of looking to implement on the new platforms that we find ourselves using. May, of course, things were not looking so optimistic. The pandemic was not slowing down. We focused on looking at hygiene information standards across the alliance to ensure that anyone who did traveled in a safe environment. And you'll see that as a traveler now traveling within the airline space, that you will be traveling in that safe and hygienic environment. We also looked at travel insurance to ensure that customers, if they were caught in some of the transient hygiene statuses of the countries, were able to get home should they find themselves stuck at those environments. We then turned optimistic, and in June 2020, we looked at how we could incentivize people to get back into travel. And I must say that as we progressed through the end of the year, we needed to recalibrate ourselves, understanding that the pandemic was going to last a little bit longer than we expected. One thing I will say, though, throughout this whole journey is that one of our key projects never stopped. And that was our migration to cloud and the optimizations that we needed to make sure that we had a good cost base and a good foundation for recovery once the pandemic is coming to an end. So with that, let's talk about the cloud migration and the activities that we've been doing with TCS, which will underpin the recovery that we are going to see in the travel industry. Our relationship with TCS goes back many years, and I mentioned at the beginning, I've been with Star Alliance for about 18 and a half years. It was one of my first projects at Star Alliance to look for an IT partner who would be able to provide the services and development services and infrastructure that we would require to build the Star Alliance technology. I was privileged to be the owner of that project, and I still have those memories fondly from when we made the decision to take TCS on board. Since then, we've built many applications between the on-site team and the team in Chennai. ADC, or Automated Dock Check, provides checking services for visas before transportation. You've probably seen the Dock OK on a boarding pass. Now you know where it comes from. IARCHI, which is the through check-in application, was built swiftly afterwards, allowing through check-in between the members, so you don't have to go and stand at the transfer desks. Redemption availability, something that our customers absolutely require in terms of the ability to redeem their miles across the network. And a baggage hub application, which allows us to track all of the baggage that is being transported between the members and make sure that should we need to, and we can find those bags. And as we moved into the digital world, taking advantage of some of the services to provide more instant services, instant accrual of miles, where we can now, across the network, accrue miles within seconds from one member to a next. And that's where we get to in 2020 with a completed migration to the AWS cloud. All of these activities have been delivered with the support of TCS, and we've done that and continue to innovate with them and develop the new projects. with the migration to the cloud, which started in 2018. And it's a journey that shouldn't be underestimated. It does take planning, it takes time, but the rewards are there to be reaped. We started planning in 2018, and after deciding to make the move to AWS, the TCS started the migration activities in 2019. We did an initial lift and shift throughout 2019, taking advantage of the AWS migration support and taking advantage of an application-based migration, which allowed us to not bite off more than we could chew in one migration segment. Focusing on perhaps the easier applications first to gain experience and to allow the teams to experiment and to understand how the more complicated applications could be migrated towards the end of the year. So at the end of 2019, the lift and shift phase was complete, and luckily, we were able to start our optimization phases. Now, I say luckily because, as I mentioned at the beginning, 2020 decided to be a very difficult year, and the fact that we were already positioned well in the cloud allowed us to immediately look at cost savings and infrastructure reductions as the messaging across the system reduced. Early in 2020, we then took the advantage of optimizing our cost base and infrastructure, and moving from the original lift and shift into the systems of AWS. That culminated, or a major completion was towards the end of 2020, where we moved away one of our major applications, the baggage hub that I mentioned earlier, away from Oracle and into the native Aurora system of AWS. And that has really impacted not only our cost base and our infrastructure footprint, but it has also allowed us to be secure in the fact that we can rebuild and react to the increase of traffic that we're expecting to see now as the pandemic gets under control. Alongside this, and although we didn't have many developments happening in 2020 under the significant cost pressure, we also implemented the processes of CI and CD, and that would put us in a good place as we now start to look at new developments in the 2021 and beyond. So we're now exceedingly well positioned to be able to take advantage of the upturn in traffic as we move forward. So now we're in the cloud. What are we doing? It's a new beginning. Well, is it? Our future started a while ago. We already started migrating to the cloud in 2019, as I mentioned. And 5 years ago, we made a conscious decision to be a more digitally focused alliance, providing seamless services across the members. And the migration to cloud was one part of that initiative to ensure that we kept our leading position as the leading global alliance. We have since then, and continue to do, we introduce technology for our members that can't be seen, but you do experience it. And those services are being supported by TCS and our AWS platform. We've introduced interline seat selection, which allows customers now during the reservation phase to be able to select seats on all of the partners within the itinerary. On the back of some of the baggage hub infrastructure that I spoke about earlier, we've introduced customer-facing baggage tracking APIs, which allows the customer to understand where their bag is. Has it been accepted? Is it on the airplane? And indeed, we've extended that to look at delayed notification. So should a bag not have made it, we're already ahead of the game to understand how we can get that baggage back to the customer. And we're looking at online redemption. So making sure that customers get access to those redemption seats that they so dearly want and need as they take advantage of the loyalty programs across the members. All of that is enabled, and the future is bright as we look at products that will support the new hygiene requirements and travel regulations. Again, being built on the platform that is now available to us. We've been able to do that and still reduce our costs by about 25%, our server landscape about 30%, and response times have reduced by 20%. All of those efficiencies have come without reduction in quality of service, and whilst we're maintaining 99.99 and more availability to our members. I can honestly say that the move to the cloud, be that AWS or any, has significantly reduced the incidents and produced a much stabler environment for us to move forward on, making our platform much more resilient and future-proof. And that's something I'm very happy as sitting in charge. It makes my life significantly easier. Just to put some of that in perspective, these are daily figures. We've in a good day in 2019. We process 730,000 loyalty seat availability requests. We're tracking 1.2 million bags, and we are processing 400,000 check-in messages. These are messages that involve two or more flights, and it's essential, particularly these services are available to the customer continuously and resiliently throughout the operations. So we are now moving on, and we are now built with resiliency in mind. We've got our agile processes in place, and this allows us to move and think about providing global travel experiences that we haven't provided before. And those services you will see coming from Star Alliance in the coming years, as we provide new experiences in this new world. We've spoken about hygiene services. But as the network of the carriers has changed, there may be considerations about intermodal transportation and ground services as well. And with the AWS and cloud services supported by TCS and their development teams, we're very looking forward to be able to bring those to the customer. We're going to do all of that in mind with the wants of the customer. Of course, it's a mobile-first world. So all of our services need to be available to the customer through their mobile devices. And in our case, that means providing services to our members, the airlines, who will provide those services to the customers through the mobile application that they're comfortable with. We have a technology that's agile and resilient, and finally, that's going to enable us to provide those convenient and seamless transactions that absolutely make an alliance tick. So I'd like to thank Adi for the opportunity to speak here. It's great, but what I'd most importantly like to do is thank the teams of Star Alliance, TCS, and those people at AWS who've made this journey successful over the last 2 or 3 years and have put us on a footing for the future to make sure that we can deliver the services that the customers require. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Jeremy, for a very insightful presentation. And we'd now like to invite you both for a panel discussion on how enterprises can accelerate business value with cloud as the unifying digital fabric. So let me start with Jeremy. Jeremy, at TCS, we strongly believe that cloud is central to a business strategy. I'm sure Star Alliance also looks at cloud in a similar way. Can you share some thoughts on this?
Certainly. We had significant luck in our migration, I have to say, and the timings of the migration to the cloud. So the business value that we are generating from the migration itself has been beyond what we expected, given the current world situation. We expected that our cloud migration would put us in a good place to increase the services we had, to manage significantly more transactions and meet the world travel demand as passengers, as it was foreseen. That obviously the travel industry was set to expand quite significantly over the coming years, and that's what we were getting ourselves ready for. What we found was that we were we were able to leverage our migration in a completely different manner. And that was to really leverage the flexibility that it provides us to reduce the scale as well as increase the scale. And I think it was a good, it's a very interesting use case to get into. That, yes, of course, we all say the cloud gives us the business capability to be flexible for what comes in the future, but our flexibility in mind is normally increases and extension of the capability. In our case, it was an absolute dream that we were able to manage that environment back down and show that we can be flexible in our business strategy in both directions. And I think that's something that's obviously often missed in this world. We always think growth, positive growth, is where we're going to be, but in our instance, we needed to deal very quickly with a negative situation.
Very interesting insight, Jim. In fact, the business strategy working both directions is what everyone has to now look at. And it helps a better perspective with accelerating value on cloud. So Yusuf, can you tell us about how cloud is now centric to your business strategy at LMRA?
Yes, that's right. Actually, being as a government entity, we are governed by the government rules and strategy as a whole. Bahrain recently, as explained in the presentation, adopted the cloud first policy. And since then, I believe everyone in the government is trying hard to move toward the cloud. And also, as you know, technology is continuously changing, and the changes in technology is very rapid, very fast. So we could, by adopting the cloud strategy, we could allow and allocate more time for our resources, our builders, to build more, to innovate more, and reduce the focus and the support of the infrastructure. Hopefully by this we'll be able to provide more services to the citizenships and to the expatriate in the Kingdom of Bahrain. We have also in government of Bahrain, they are supporting all entities, facilitating their migration. And because this definitely will leverage the benefits of a cloud and reflect that on the life of expatriate in Bahrain.
Thank you, Yusuf. It's quite insightful about how you have covered about the cloud strategy for a large government enterprise, right? So switching to some of the technical dimensions which businesses expect. So Jeremy, how do you define resilience in this industry, right? Do you have any specific metrics or frameworks for measuring this? And how do you go about setting goals to measure resilience, right, using cloud?
Let me take the story back a little bit. Let me take the story back to 2018 when we started the considerations for moving our infrastructure, moving to cloud. Our original intent was to be in a better position for disaster recovery and control over those situations. We operate applications which are mission critical to our members, and we needed to ensure that we were in a strong position to be able to continue the operations and the service levels that the carriers requested. Our airline members required, not requested, they required. So our initial thoughts around moving to cloud was to improve our position in that area, which obviously is in itself to improve the resiliency of our infrastructure environment to potential weaknesses. So the move to cloud has obviously improved that. We are in a much better position operationally than we were. If we look at this in terms of resilience for the industry and resilience for the future, the cloud not only offers us a position of operational strength and infrastructure strength, but it also offers us a resilience in the speed that we can innovate and bring new applications to market. So from a pure technology perspective, yes, we have got a strong position in the operations. But now, as we leverage our cloud assets, We are looking to be able to speed up our delivery processes, be able to react now positively, as I said, and negatively to the current situation, to be able to offer those new services at a level which is required, and extend into areas that we probably would have struggled to extend into with speed if we hadn't had the cloud infrastructure and cloud migration behind us. So from a resiliency perspective, the moving to cloud, I believe, has enabled not only infrastructure resilience but also business resilience and business innovation that we can now look forward to in the coming years when travel starts to pick up.
Well, the whole definition of resilience is no longer at infrastructure or technology level, right? As you said, it's about business resilience and the ability to be resilient with speed.
Yeah, if I may, now as technology and business come much closer together, and I think we're seeing that as we use the word digitalization, but for me, digitalization is more of a tighter collaboration between business and the technology infrastructure and technology capabilities. I think we need to be able to have infrastructures and processes in place which allow the business to innovate and obviously therefore to provide that business resilience for the future.
Certainly. Thank you, Jeremy, on that. So picking on that, Yusuf, I know you referenced this briefly when you were presenting about the entire journey, that you are one of the largest organizations who took the lead in embarking a cloud journey of the scale, right? Do you see adoption of such initiatives in the Gulf countries, both as a private and government organizations? How have this initiative of yours been an inspiration for the other entities in the Gulf to take on this journey?
Okay, that's right. Our system is one of the largest systems in the government, and the level of integration and level of complexity. Also, government of Bahrain, by taking this initiative, has encouraged, I believe, the other GCC countries and the countries in the Middle East to migrate to AWS and other cloud providers. Like for instance, in UAE, there are so many cloud centers has opened since in the last 2 years. KSA also has developed a cloud first policy, as well as similar to Bahrain cloud policy. So I believe the growth, the expenditures on the cloud computing and cloud services is growing. And if I can recall correctly, like 1 year ago, Gartner expected 21% growth in the investment in the expenditures and cloud services. So also we can see here in Bahrain in specific that, as I said, Bahrain is encouraging all government entities to migrate, and the private sector also is picking up and adopting the cloud services. And on a yearly basis, Bahrain holds an AWS summit in Bahrain, and we can see and hear the numbers of migrated services or migrated systems to the cloud. So I believe it's quite encouraging everyone to migrate to the cloud.
So certainly digitalization, to what Jeremy said, is actually scaling up much bigger and bolder, right, in the Gulf countries, right? Definitely there's a lot more to achieve in the coming years. So moving back to you, Jeremy, on the overall sector itself, and as we bid goodbye to 2020, and how has been the sort of upside opportunities in 2021 for the business overall for you?
It's difficult. Very few people are traveling, and the restrictions are still in place. But we are seeing the light. Vaccination is starting to vaccines are starting to be distributed, and that is starting. I think will start to make an impact. Although lockdowns and the situations around the world are still staying in place for the short term, as we do have to deal with this second wave, which is particularly unfortunate. Have we seen upsides? Are we thinking about the future? Of course, we're thinking about the future. We are particularly focused on touchless environments. How can we move passengers through the airports and minimize the touch points? We have introduced in that regard, from a Star Alliance perspective, services in the biometric space, and we'll be rolling those out throughout 2021. But there are other opportunities that we are looking at, or there are other products that our passengers, I think, should be asking for and requesting from the Alliance, and indeed we are looking at those. For example, as the vaccinations kick in and the testing is more readily available, we will need systems that allow testing certifications and vaccine certifications to be presented during travel. So those opportunities are things that we are going to be developing to ensure that any digital certification within wallets around the world can be accepted for travel, and to ease that process and ensure that people can get back into airplanes and to destinations. I think we should also it's a non-technical discussion, a non-technical question or answer, I suppose, but we should be aware that aircraft are very safe. It's the travel, it's making sure that we aircraft are very, very hygiene safe environments, and we need to make sure that the system around that enables people to travel with the comfort and the mental comfort that is required to be able to be on that airplane. And also the receiving jurisdictions need to be able to have information communicated from origin to destination to know that this passenger is a healthy person, does not have COVID and or is vaccinated. So this is a big space for us in 2021.
Certainly, all of us look forward to flying again. And as you rightly said, it's more than the individual safety of the aircraft itself. It is about the emotional comfort across all the systems, right? The entire ecosystem which connects the dots for any one of us to be feeling safe to travel from wherever we want to go. We really look forward to 2021 being a much bigger and more blessing, right?
One of the key challenges that we have in this space is that there are many players who are building health wallets, health certifications, which could be used to support the travel process. But what's essential is that those many health wallets are accepted at as many touch points as possible. So our challenge is to bring that together so that the customer can make the choice about the certification wallet that they choose, but the airlines can accept all of those throughout. The airlines or even other hospitality environments can accept those at the touch points.
Right. So coming to governance for a second, Jeremy, how did you govern this whole cloud now, given all these initiatives which you just spoke about and the ones which are being planned for 2021? How are you going about looking at it? Any best practices or suggestions?
Yeah, we have a great partner, you see. So the governance and the management of the cloud with my internal team is very well managed with my partner TCS. So I'm happy that we have the TCS partnership, which allows us to manage the growth and the processes that we have in place. It's been a learning curve to understand how to go from a data center into cloud and manage that. And I think our governance is still evolving as we understand what our platforms are capable of, or how we can manage that. So I think for us, governance is something we're still learning, and how we're going to manage the processes long term.
Right. So same question to you, Yusuf. Yours was a very different journey. You had a legacy applications which was in use for over 10 years. So how did you prepare for this change? What did you do in terms of getting ready for a transformation like this, right? Because yours was not a simple shift, as it were. So how did you get on with it? And in the same words, how are you preparing for governing this?
That's right. It was quite challenging to migrate a legacy system like ours from mainframe to the cloud. That's why we have partnered with our, if I can call it transformation partner, which is TCS, who helped us a lot in the transformation journey. We know our application well, but we were new to AWS. Partnering with TCS could enable us actually implement the right practices and design the right architecture, adopt the right technology, and together mix them together to provide a resilient system that could serve the customer in a better way. As you know, that we have presence in the airport. Our system is so sensitive; it has to run 24/7. That make it more critical, and that encourage us to go and search for a partner like TCS who could help us in this journey. We have a strong team at LMRA. They are eager to learn, and they admire teamwork. That could initiate a good relationship, a collaborative relationship with TCS members who work with us in this journey. And by doing so, we could complement each other, and we could benefit a lot from the resources we received during our journey from TCS, definitely. That could speed up and secure our achievement, if I could say. And at the end, I believe we have benefited a lot from this journey, and thanks God, we are running fine since the migration. No complaints, and all is well.
Thank you, Yusuf. In hindsight, when we all started, right, between TCS, AWS, all the players together, when you sort of reflect on it, do you think we could have done anything differently?
Not really. We have planned it well together, and we have executed it very well together. We could achieve it in time. We could achieve it successfully, and as I said, everyone is celebrating this achievement.
Good. So we have been able to collectively deliver a very predictable outcome. Thank you, Yusuf, for very encouraging and inspiring words. Same back to you, Jeremy. When we started, clearly the migration was what we have already set up as a system, and then we were migrating it to AWS. And in your case, it was multiple systems touching across various airlines who were using it. So in the same way, when you dial back, do you think there were things which we could have done differently, or things which we could have done more simpler, right, to achieve those outcomes? Any points which come to your mind?
Hindsight's always 2020, so it's always good to look back and have a look and see how well we did. I think first of all, before I do that, there are some advantages to the cloud which you don't have in on-prem, and that is the ability to experiment and experience. And I think we, as we went through the migration, taking advantage of that experimental nature was very useful to us. We and allowed us to learn to make mistakes before we made the mistakes in the operating environment. So taking advantage of that for anyone who's considering a cloud migration is something I think should be up in mind. Could we have done some things better? We did. There were some incidents that we faced during the migration that we could potentially have planned for better. We had to take some risk within the migration itself, which in hindsight probably were too risky in terms of network connectivity and not network switchovers. If planned again, I think we would try. I would look at trying to take some of that risk out of the system. So there were some minor. I'm going to emphasize that there were some minor incidents which we had to manage along the way. But in general, the shifting of the applications and the optimization thereafter, I think we did as a team between TCS, AWS, and the STAR team exceptionally well. Of course, there were minor incidents, and that's what I say. Hindsight is 2020, and we can always look and find things that we could have done better.
Certainly, I think all of it which helps us get much more better as we look forward. So here we are now in 2021. So clearly a lot more to look forward to better times ahead as the world becomes a healthier place. Any cloud resolutions for this year, Jeremy? So you talked a lot about digitalization. So what were your top resolutions for this year?
So we're still in the pandemic, and we still have a relatively quiet year ahead of us because of the necessity to manage costs. But cloud resolutions for 2021, I think, are for me twofold. Three. One is continue the optimization work. We've managed a lot of cost out of the infrastructure in 2020. We still have work to do, and there's always fine-tuning and optimizations that could be done to take advantage. To take advantage of the environments. Two is data. We are in a much stronger position now to be able to leverage the data flows that are passing through Star Alliance. Of course, within the requirements of regulation, we would be looking at how we can leverage that data for our business, for the business, to enable them to make better strategic decisions. And with that data now more easily accessible, that's something that I think we will be able to. We will be focusing on 2021 should the budget and the environment allow us to. Finally, we started looking at optimization of development work, and maybe this is something of interest in terms of how we not only leverage the infrastructure, but how we are going to adapt. We would like to adapt our processes also to take advantage of the infrastructure. So in 2021, I would like to start to re-examine our development processes, make sure they are more nimble, and allow my business customers to leverage that and bring those products that they have faster to market. I think that's something that we do also need to focus on. So those would be my three things for 2021. If I have to prioritize them, it would be actually in that order this year.
Right. So optimization, harnessing the best of data, and looking at how you can look at the development processes for your businesses to get faster launch of their products about the infrastructure layer. Well said. So looking forward to this journey this year. What about you, Yusuf? What are your resolutions and anticipations for 2021?
Honestly speaking, we have two resolutions. We have already started with cost optimization and the infrastructure level. And the other one which will be bigger as a continuation of the phase of the previous phase of the project. We are trying to re-architect our application in order to benefit more from the services provided by AWS. We are thinking of replacing a number of existing software components in our environment by AWS native services. Hopefully this will enable us provide more resilient services, faster response to the customer, and faster response to the business. We have so many demands from the business, and we have to adapt and to plan them carefully and provide at the end. So hopefully by re-architecting our application, re-platforming it, we'll be able to achieve these objectives.
Now it ties in very well, Yusuf, with the kind of investments which AWS is also making, right, in the cloud native space. And I think if I understood it right, Jeremy, the third priority about the development processes and helping the businesses launch product also lends momentum to the sort of adoption of cloud native capabilities of the hyperscaler AWS. Certainly optimization on one end, balanced with the ability to be more cloud native and to launch products and services for the business much more faster, becomes a sort of two dimensions, right? Which is what is coming out of the 2021 theme. Thank you, Yusuf and Jeremy, for the wonderful panel discussion. A lot of good themes came out in our conversation with both of you. I will now open up for questions from the audience. We have an interesting flow of questions listening to both of you. We will cover as many of them possible during the time we have, but for others we want to make sure that we circle back to you offline. So here's the first question, and it is directed to Jeremy. Looking forward, what actions are you taking to be more agile in responding to challenges of the future?
I think this goes back to what I was saying as my number three resolution for 2021. We need to be able to provide infrastructure that enables our business to develop the products and processes that they want at a speed that is necessary. We've started discussions, or we start discussions about not only the infrastructure, but it's also about the way in which the business is interacting with the technology, the business processes themselves, in terms of introduction of agile developments. Those conversations are and have been within the organization for a good number of years. But I think have we done them as well as we could? Probably not. Can we start to work more closely with our partners, with TCS and other providers, to introduce more agile development processes? Yes, we can, and that's something that I would be advocating in order to include to make sure that we are technology agile. To be business agile is a different question. To be business agile, we need to make sure that we have a workforce and the right thinking within the organization to make those to be more adventurous, to have long-term strategies, but be able to deliver on small change. And I think that's something that our organization will be looking at as we go forward and leverage the technology on one side, but now leverage the ability to make small changes, but with long foresight.
Right, small changes with long foresight. Thank you, Jeremy. The next one is directed to you, Yusuf. In LMRA, you talked about the development of the current applications using more cloud native. So the question is about how important was cloud's role in navigating those recent changes, and how did it help adapt and scale with the cloud native capabilities?
Yes, right. Cloud native services actually will, as you know, it's easier to deploy, easier to find and easier to deploy. We have decent knowledge about them, and with the help of the partnership or this engagement, we'll be able to benefit more from the resources available on the other side of TCS. This will enable our team provide or develop in a faster pace, because the focus will be different now. It's not about only learning the technology or searching for technology, because we have the knowledge resources. So the focus will be more on the development, will be more on the innovation, will be more on the understanding of the business requirement. So all of this, I believe, will enable our team to develop and progress faster. Second thing, before, as you know, the mainframe is so rigid, we cannot expand the infrastructure resources easily. Now, with the existence of AWS services, we'll be able to create the needed environment, to provision for the requirement in the future. All of this will again increase our speed. So this is how I see cloud will enhance our SDLC.
Thank you, Yusuf. Question back to Jeremy on the aspect of skills, cloud skills. What are some of the new cloud skills you're looking at? Did you have any special training for your employees, member airline partners to adapt to this change?
So from internally, of course, our team reviewed, have been busy with the AWS skill sets, and they're quite easy. Training is readily available, and that was something that the team was looking at. In terms of the future, the special skill sets that are within the cloud, of course, you need to know your environment, and managing the finances of cloud can be quite a challenge. So that is, although it's not necessarily a direct technology skill set that is required, and the technology skill sets of cloud are well within the TCS team. The management of and the ability to understand your cost base is something that does take something to get used to. Technology-wise, I've alluded to my second resolution for the year, which is data. Having data skills within the business analytics and data analytics skills within the team. I think that is a skill set that is going to be important, and that is something that we will be looking at.
Right. Thank you, Jeremy. Well, the next question is also to you on the aspect of security. You spoke a lot about the overall cloud transformation, and security aspects around cloud have also always been spoken about as a key consideration when embarking on cloud journey. Can you share some thoughts on this aspect?
Security is always a concern. Of course, we have a wonderful resource, a gentleman within my team who's focused on the security aspects, not only of cloud, but of all of data security that we have. We continue to review our policies. In fact, in terms of security in general, one of the aspects will be moving away from a security-based policy environment that we have had in place for many years, but moving towards more of a security-based framework, which allows us to measure more accurately our compliance and our vendors and partners' compliance with our security policy. This has been triggered as part of the move, because our security environment or our security approach has been relatively static, and not easy for us to manage change within the security environments themselves. So it is going to be a focus for us going forward. Until now, we are pretty happy with the way that our migration has allowed us to implement a safe environment or a secure environment. But that's not something that is necessarily sustainable if we don't have a mechanism to be able to measure our security system.
Thank you, Jeremy, for that. A question back to Yusuf on the similar lines on security. When you embarked on a transformation journey within the government enterprise, touching the lives of many of the citizens of Bahrain, how has security been considered? What are the key considerations which you had gone through to make this implementation a great success?
Being part of the government, we cannot work independently. We work with our partners in the government to secure all the government applications, especially that our application is highly integrated with so many government entities, as well as banks and telco. We have some security standards and security compliancy that we have to stick with all the time. That's why in a collaborative matter or in a way we are working with our partners in the government to address all the security threats and put the required controls in place. Usually being part of the government network, our government partners has worked closely with AWS to design the right and proper architecture that will guarantee all security aspects that will secure this environment and will secure this application, as well as other government applications. So I can say we have a good and strong cloud security policy that's been designed carefully and has catered thoroughly for all the security, standards, and we are following all these standards. And inshallah, it's as Jeremy has said, it's always a concern. Security is always a concern. So We keep monitoring, we keep practicing and adding more security controls. And AWS has provided so many security controls on their marketplace, and we are adopting some of them and configuring some of them. So yes, it will be. It was being well addressed in our environment.
Thank you, Yusuf. In fact, the next question relates to the experience overall, and in your presentation, you referred to how the entire system which you have migrated is actually serving the entire expats and the citizens of Bahrain. How has been their experience with this new system on the cloud? Have they shared any feedback which you can share with us?
Okay, this is a tough question actually, because being in IT, we don't have direct relationship with the customer. We don't see them usually. But what I can say is we were facing so many challenges toward the performance of our system because we had limited capacity in the past. Now we, since the migration, almost zero slowness complaint. So this will ease the task or the work of the expatriate. They don't need to wait for long hours and long minutes in the queues. This is one. We could also reduce our deployment hours, maybe by 75%, as explained. So also this has direct impact on the counters in the airport or in the banks. So waiting time and outages are much less. So I assume all of these will make the expatriate and the citizens very happy.
Thank you. So certainly I'm sure the expats are definitely having a new experience. And likewise, when we fly next time, the sky is Jeremy, we'll be thanking Starlanes more closer in the clouds.
Thank you.
Thank you, Eddie.
Thank you, Jeremy and Yusuf, for the wonderful presentation and the overview you had given about the cloud journey which you had undertaken right at Starlanes and at LMRA. Thank you for the wonderful panel conversations and answering all the Q&A for all of us. Like me, I'm sure there are many of us in this webinar who have taken away very insightful views on how such cloud journey should be planned, right from modernization through to how we can look forward to future innovation of business models powered by cloud. To all of you who have listened to us today and taken the time to be with us, thank you very much for your time, and we hope that we could do the best in answering all your questions as much as possible during the webinar. But there are some which we would definitely come back to you offline. And meanwhile, we look forward to hearing from you. And if there's anything you'd like to reach us out about, either be it on what you just heard from both the organizations at LMRA and Starlanes, or about cloud capabilities in general, do feel free to reach out on the below mentioned email ID, right, so that we could communicate with you and shape the conversations going forward. Till then, we look forward to seeing you again in a webinar soon. Thank you all once again, and look forward to our engaging conversations in the future. Stay safe, everyone. Take care. Bye-bye.